Da, 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 da.
Hi, this is Chris with Clever Unicorn Games and the Unicorn Collective, back with another one of our designer interviews. Today I have David Turczi with me. How are you doing today, David?
Good. Nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Tell me, first off, what is it you like to do when you're not designing and playing games? What is it that takes up your spare time? And you're probably going to say, I have none, but I'm sure you do.
Sleep a bit so I can game design more. Of course, playing games so that I get inspirations to design some more. And then sleeping so I can play more games and design some more. I think you sense a pattern here.
Yeah. You're probably the probably the one of the busiest people in the industry. I mean,
I
getting
mean,
this.
I'm lucky enough to be able to do it not just full time, but full time at my own leisure.
Yep.
So I do literally what I want to do. And that is the greatest position to be in on the planet. And what I want to do is make more games, and there are people around me who help me do that, and rolling with the punches and never stop,
Yeah.
not stopping.
Never stop, not stopping. There you go. There's the advice. When I ask you about the advice at the end, because there's a question where I say, "What's your advice to new designers?" Just go, "Never stop, not stopping," and then we're sorted.
Exactly.
What would you say is your? And this is always a difficult one. What is your one singular favorite board game?
Oh God. Probably Mage Knight, but
Oh.
mind you, I don't actually play solo, so which is the greatest ironies of all time. So for me, Mage Knight is a two-player cooperative game, but also on the Euros front, Tricarian, or on the slightly lighter front, Glory to Rome, or so many things. It's like I can usually narrow it down to 5, and then if they say give me 10, then I give them 25. So.
That's okay. That's good. They're all good choices. Although I've not played Tricarion yet. I've got it, but I've not. But we got it just.
You're missing out.
I know. I got it
You're missing out.
just before lockdown. So I've not had
Did
it.
you get the big box or
It's the
the
brown
regular
box.
version?
Is it the big brown one? Is that the big one?
Well,
No, the
reddish, but
reddish
yes.
brown. Yeah, reddish brown, and it has the gloss writing on it.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the collector's edition that has all the expansions in it, including the one I designed.
Ah, there you go then. Yep, we do have it ready to play once we can get back around the table.
Just prepare for a deep dive.
That's what I like. I like games with a lot of crunchy mechanisms going on. So yeah.
And I love designing expansions for my favorite games, even if other people design those games. I just go to them and say, I want to design an expansion for your game.
Yeah, that's interesting because yeah, actually doing a separate expansion from a game somebody else has designed. That's something I've
I've
not.
done it twice now, and I'm working on the third that I can't say yet. So,
But that's something you really enjoy. That is a
I
taking that.
mean, let's put it this way. For me, to design an expansion for Tashkalar, that meant that for about 2.5 months, I got to hang out 3 times a week with Vlada Schwatil playtesting the new expansion. How would that not be the greatest thing ever?
Yeah, that's somebody I haven't spoken to yet. Yeah, I love a lot of his games as well, so I should probably send him a mail and see.
If you look up the dictionary with the word genius, you just see a picture of Vlada in it. So.
um, yeah, because I just played Through the Ages again the other night. Yeah, that's such a good game. Such a good game. But although I found out that using the app or board game arena is probably optimal because if you get out on the table, it can take quite a few hours to get through a game. So it's at like half the speed if you do it through the app or the board game arena. So
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. Some big games can be helped that way.
yeah, yeah.
As makers of big games, I can surely relate.
Um, so what was it that inspired you to start making games? What was it that got you started on the path?
A friend of mine back in Hungary in 2010, Mihai Vincek, came home from a summer holiday and said, I was bored. I designed a game. And since we're just playing Battlestar Galactica every Friday, how about next time we try out what I designed? And I was like, cool, can I help? And then 3 years later, Redacted got published. And from then on, my life has been a series of lucky coincidences.
Lucky coincidences. That's good. So, how would you say that it was lucky? Do you think you were in the right place at the right time when you started out, or
No, it was literally being ridiculously lucky. So the complete set of the events was Mihai and I finishing Redacted. We took it to a Hungarian board game designers meetup for like 20 people. We showed it around to the two industry people in Hungary, and they were like, this looks a little bit complicated. So we're like, okay, this will never get published. Hey, whatever, we don't know what we're doing. Then I moved to the UK. And then I saw an ad for a summer holiday for board gamers. So I went because now I live in the UK, so I can afford to. And I put the prototype for Redacted, which was back then called Intelligence, into my backpack. And then the organizer of that holiday has just recently founded a new publisher called Ludi Creations. And I was like, we were talking throughout the week, and then at the end, I was like, so do you actually want to see the game I designed? And then he played it. I was like, okay, I'll sign it. I'll publish it. So he published it. We had 1,000 backers on Kickstarter when he was planning like half of that. So, oh my God, amazing success. Next year, same Hungarian game developer meeting. This time it's 25 people. We are the guest stars, the famous designers that made it worldwide. And I was like, okay, let's talk to all the other people and see if there is any, useful and skilled people in the crowd, and maybe we can do a Hungarian Games edition like CGE did. It's like, and in that 25 people were the founders of Mindclash half a year before publishing Tricarion. I was like, crap, this is much better than anything I've even looked at in the past. Let's just stay close to these people. And then when Tricarion came out and was a huge success, I was like, so guys, do you need a second game? They're like, what do you have in mind? Well, I have this little tiny tableau builder card worker placement game about time travel. Do you want to take a look at it? And then they went, and then it was no longer tiny. So
it's good though. I like Anachrony a lot.
and then Ludi, the guy in charge of Ludi Creations introduced me to another guy who was the guy in charge of NSKN Games. And then I handed him the prototype that later became Dice Settlers. And then Dice Settlers accidentally got delayed by a year, so it became the companion game of Teotihuacan. But Teotihuacan, they on development personnel, so they needed an extra hand, so they asked me to help out. Meanwhile, is the internet beep beep?
Your internet's just broken up a little bit. Wait, are you back? Oh, you're back again. There you go. That's good. We can edit. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
I'm
The
back.
good thing about
How much did
pre-record,
you lose of the story?
you got up to Teotihuacan.
Yes.
I still can't pronounce it. I love
Yes.
that game, but I can't
Yes.
pronounce it.
Teotihuacan.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. 3, 2, 1, go. So I joined the development team of Teotihuacan, which became a huge success. 2 weeks before it went to print, I was like, hey, I can add a solo mode to it because everybody loved the Anachrony solo mode. Maybe I do another. So I did the solo mode for that. That became a huge success. And suddenly, all the publishers I knew were sending me emails saying, hey, can you design a solo mode for me as well? Hey, can you work on developing on my game as well? I got introduced to Daniel Tashini, and he was like, well, you did good. Let's work together. And I'm like, wee! So, series of lucky coincidences. I mean, the one thing I did do was be rather shameless about it and make sure to always, hi, I'm here at every point. So people remembered me and asked me, and then all I had to do was not let let them down. So
Where would you say that when you have the idea of a game in your head, where do you go first with that idea? What is it that your first steps to creating a game?
I tend to start games. I'm not a mechanical inventor. I'm no Tashini. That there are better people for that. I tend to start with either wouldn't it be cool to have a game about X? And that X can either be an unusual combination of mechanisms or an unusual setting with a visualization, or I go for a particular experience like someone Tinsy was, I want a game where there's a giant mountain in the middle and we place workers on it that we never retrieve. How can I make a game about that? And I just went with that. So everything and then when once I have this one sentence idea for a game, then it's let's create a design doc. What are the elements? What can you build? What can you buy? What are you buying with? Why? What's the interesting choice? Because it can't just be get 3 wood on this action and then spend 3 wood on that action, because that's not interesting. What's the hard trade-off? And for me, it's always about trade-off of choice. I always want to do those two things, and I can only do one of them. So, and that every time I make a choice, there has to be another 2 options down the rabbit hole.
I'm imagining that when you're making a game, you've got like one of those big boards, like one of those crime scene, the police, where they have the little picture and then a little piece of string going from that to another one, and then from that to another one. Yep, here we go. Yep, yeah, that's it. That's the smaller version, but yeah, that's exactly what I
That's
expect. Yeah.
Perseverance episode 4, the notes. So I literally have it here because I was working on it yesterday. So yes, that's exactly how it looks, just not with strings.
Yeah, not with strings. You should do though. You should do it like a crime scene thing, and then take a
My
photograph.
girlfriend has made me plank of wood with a plexiglass taped on it and a bunch of wet erase pens. So if
Oh,
I have a thought, I just write on my table. So
that's brilliant.
that,
That is
that,
brilliant.
but it does make my arm look red by
Yeah.
the
Oh,
evening.
you've got one of your game designs just printed on
Yes,
on your arm.
quick! Somebody write my hand down
Yeah.
in a mirror.
Somebody read that for me because I can't see it. Yeah. Um,
Exactly.
you've taken loads of games now from your head to market. In the process of doing that, can you think of a barrier or a wall that you've hit which has stopped you and made you really think, and then how did you overcome it?
Usually, because for me, an interesting game design is where everything lifts up every other thing. And when I have 3 great ideas and 2 of them lift each other up and nothing lifts the third one up, then I want to come up with a fourth thing. But then that fourth thing might be not as good as the first 3, so I need more ways of lifting it up. So then I come up with a fifth thing, and you see how this leads to a problem, right?
Yeah. So how do you get past it? How do you how do you figure out which one of the things or which number of the things is going to be the ones that you uh,
Uh, Depends. Sometimes I just keep redesigning that third thing until it's good enough to be lifted up by the other 2. Sometimes I burn the whole game design. Sometimes uh, sometimes I not lift one of the things up and then make the game anyways if I'm really believing the first 2, and then see what works and hone in on that. But that's a lot of work, and I'm lazy, very lazy.
would you say that are you a theme first or a mechanic first guy?
Experience first.
All right. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yep, yep.
So let's see what games can I talk about. Roman Roll has always been I wanna do a medium heavy dice drafting game where you're drawing polyominoes on a board.
Yep.
Let's figure it out. How could that be interesting? As I said, Tawantinsuyu has always been I want to place workers on a mountain where the position of which side of the mountain you're on matters, and you never retrieve that worker. How would that work? Tekkenu was there are 6 actions on the board and something goes around. And then I sent this to Tashinian because he's the mechanism inventor. He sent back the dice drafting. And then once he did, I created some of the actions and he filled in the rest. So it came from a vision. It didn't come from a mechanism. It came from I want actions in a circle that change their cost and their value as time progresses. How can you visually represent that? By a shadow touching them. So it was always about the shadow touching the actions. But how it's that implemented is a mechanism. That's not the experience.
Yeah, this is like eye-opening really, because yeah, if you look at a lot of your games, they are kind of, while not completely unique because it's hard to get away from, certain things in games that have come before, the way you've implemented them is very different to the way other people have done things. And
Yes,
this kind of is the way.
I
Yeah.
don't like the games, other people's designs that I tip my hat off are the ones that do the same thing with a different experience. Barrage being, for example, the best example. It's trade up, worker placement, spend resources to put things on a board game, but the way it represents it with the flow of water and the clockwork costing, those are like jaw to the floor new things. And when I played it, my immediate reaction was, "Hi Simona, can I design a game with you?" So, and yes, of course, we're working on something. So that's the feeling I'm looking for in a game. Sometimes it's theme. Defense of Procyon 3 is, can I have a two-sided giant combat where each team has one player controlling it started as tanks and then it turned into spaceships. So that one that can do the heavy fighting, and then the other one who has unique heroes running around the battle, picking off the and I was like, okay, how do I do that? I can't make it root-like asymmetry because there is no central focus of the card deck and the air. Technically, a two-sided. I don't want it to be random, so I need from the theme of a two-sided combat on split responsibilities. So not split like Star Wars Rebellion, which is a good two-player game but a very poor four-player game. So how can I start it from the four-player and head the, so it's not always mechanism; it's always experience.
Have you ever played a game that you didn't like? And you don't have to name it, but what is the theme or mechanic, or what is it about that game that put you off?
What? I would never name Black Angel.
Have you mentioned this before in
Yes,
conversation?
several
Yeah.
times. it led me to develop my theory of good game design, and it usually says the opposite of what Black Angel does. So, but no, that's at this point I'm more like doing it for a joke, and I'm sure if I sat down again and played it again, I wouldn't hate it as much as I did on the first time around. But basically, I I dislike when a game tries to hide its, like, make me being either unable or unwilling to care about bits of it. If
Yeah.
it's too many things, I can't focus. If it's the interaction is incidental, I'm bored on your turn. If there is no narrative, like not necessarily a story, just like what am I doing here? If I can't address proper nouns to what I'm doing, then I can't. Then it's solving an Excel sheet. And when people say themeless Euros, as long as they have good naming and they represent things that makes so Tekkenu for me is completely theme designed, because once we had the obelisk and once we had the dice, I was like, okay, so what do Egyptians do? They farm, they quarry, they build statues. So and what do the statues do? The statues pray to the gods, so the gods you give you reward. So you build houses to increase your population. This all makes sense to me, and yet there are games where you get 3 red resources that you can use to reset a die or slide that tile one to the left. Okay, so what did I do? I I I have problem, like I don't mind games with many wheels. I'm very good at learning wide rules, but I can't internalize an independent list of effects. Like I played Cloudspire. I can see how it's super smart, but the play of it is, here's the list of the 20 abilities you and your opponent and the special ties can do. Go figure out a combo. And I'm just like, nope, I'm out. No. So that to, like, I'm not saying it's unelegant, but it's not the kind of elegant I want.
Yeah,
So
I can
it's
kind of say the same thing with me and Mage Knight. You know, I know you love it, but
yes, but in Mage Knight everything makes
yeah,
sense except the element of resistance, which is silly. But the rest, I can perfectly internalize by what's happening.
yeah,
You shoot first with your arrows, then you put your shield up.
yeah,
You have to face your shield only one at a time, whereas with your sword you can do a big.
yeah.
So these all make sense to me.
Yeah, so it comes the way it works is that your mind's making it cinematic. You know, your mind's
Yes,
making you look at how you know, it's kind of like the little child inside you, inside your imagination. Everything's happening the way it should. And yeah, I understand what you mean. Like
and
sometimes,
something
yeah, things are too
something as
abstract.
Excel
Yep.
sheety as underwater cities makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
It's dry. It doesn't have a story. It doesn't. But the fiction meets the action.
Yeah.
When I take the expand a city action, that costs me the resources the city is made out
Yeah.
of, and it's like I understand. It's not I spent a red token to slide my tile one to the left, Black Angel, which makes no sense. Decisions
Yeah.
like I dislike if the game says you can pick A or B, and then we'll decide which one would have been the right choice.
Yeah.
Either make it a push your luck thing, and then I either get lucky or I don't, or make it a random set of options and forced to choose, or make it a plannable outcome with a random efficiency. But a random outcome is horrid.
Yeah.
And uh, like I loved everything about dinogenics, and then you start throwing the cards that decide which type of dinosaur you can actually make, and I'm like, oh great, another Triceratops.
Yeah. I love Dynogenics, so I'm one of those people that really likes it. But I would say that it's made a lot better with the expansion. So don't you?
Really, I felt it made a lot more chaotic and worse with the
Oh no,
expansion, but
I found it was a lot easier to tailor your park to what you wanted with the addition of the the wild DNA. So it meant you could do a lot more.
I went to the new board 7 times and never drew a wild DNA, so I trust you.
Oh, okay. Maybe
That's
that's a
what I
problem.
mean. It's
Maybe that's a
it's
problem.
it's
Yeah. Yeah.
that's what I
Yeah.
mean, that the game has enough random variance that even if I decide that I'm gonna build less dinos but tailor my suit more, the game can still say, well, you should have picked the other one. I don't like it when a game tells me that you should have picked the other one. Either give me the information up front or make it a push your luck thing. I
Yep.
use randomness several times in Crunchy Euros. Anachrony has the Paradox die roll and the Research die roll. Those are all there to be cloud the efficiency.
Yep.
You don't know what's the exact cost of this action, but you know what the exact outcome of the action is.
Speaking of dinosaurs, where did you stand on Dinosaur Island?
John Gilmer is a friend of mine, so I will not comment on that game.
Then, out of respect for your friend, I won't either.
However, I do have 2 dinosaur games of my own.
Oh man,
So,
I will buy them. So anything with dinosaurs and I'm in. I
well,
love
well,
dinosaurs.
I can't reach it because it's up there. But Welcome to Dino World
Oh,
is
I've got
a
it. I've already got it.
there. That's one,
Yeah.
and then the big one is Perseverance coming from Mindclash. It was on Kickstarter in the summer and shipping next year. I was playing it yesterday, so there you will see what I mean by the. Well, episode 1 is a big-ish game. Episode 2 is a proper big game, and they're heavy and they have a lot of rules, but they're all there for narratively understandable reasons. None of the rules go, wait, what? They all go, yeah, I get it. Whoever has the most colored cubes has the biggest presence of that area. It all makes sense, and because the narrative is rich and the action meets the fiction, your action feels like the story. So when we say that it's a thematic game, we don't mean you draw a card and the card says, oh no, we are starving if somebody only gave us 3 more food by next turn or we'll lose 5 victory points. Instead, it's, I really want to build that house, but I'm lacking a food for it. So this turn I'm gonna go foraging, and the next turn I'm gonna build that house. And that's what you do. You take a foraging action followed by a house building action.
Yep.
And you can either have a non-random foraging where you get 2 food, or you can send out an adventure where some of your soldiers may die and you might not even find food, but you might find a lot of other stuff instead. So even when there is randomness, it makes sense why it's there, and it's not on the, it doesn't decide whether it was a good move or not. It decides what other options it allows you to do in the future.
Yep. What is one piece of advice that you would give to a new designer coming into this industry?
On the honestly, no idea, because all the tricks I do that enables me to do what I'm doing all requires not to be on step one. So I have no idea how to get off step one. I got lucky. Hope you get two. Uh, as the much more direct and brutal Daniel Tascini would say, have some talent for God's sake. But other than that,
Yep. Or
I don't know.
you could have gone with your never stop, never stopping.
Yes, but I feel like I'm quoting what is it called, Lonely Island or whatever is the name of Andy Samberg's band.
Oh yeah, no, that was a movie, wasn't it? He brought out as well,
Yes,
not long
I
ago.
stopped after 20 minutes. It was so bad,
Yeah,
and I love his humor.
it wasn't the best.
It was horrible.
um, yeah, so that's it. Thank you for coming and speaking to me today. It's been absolutely brilliant.
I hope you can find 20 minutes of usable information.
I think I'll be okay. I think I will be okay.